All right. All right, cool cats and chickens. Let's go ahead and take a look see at where you guys left off Thursday. And I just ran through it and got an idea of who was still missing previous assignments. All of those previous assignments, if you open up the Google Drive folder that I gave you guys access to on each one of those, it has the finalized AIA files. So, for example, the assignment that we were working on Thursday, if you guys are confused on that one, all you have to do is open up that Google Drive folder. And then right here, I gave you the AIA file, meaning all you have to do is load it into MIT App Inventor and then just rearrange the puzzle pieces to work with what the code is supposed to be. And if you needed something to look at to judge that, you've got that image right there. That is what your code is supposed to look like. The only thing that will look different in yours is right here that your questions will be the ones that you guys created. All right. If you wanted to go into a very long, arduous 33-minute long dive into this, you can watch this Mr. STEM guy. However, I feel like what we already have here is going to suffice. All right, so now let's take a look at what we are going to work on today, because now we have to take and translate our code, our app, our questionnaire into something that other people that don't have access to the app can answer, and we can gather data, because we're not even going to be able to create our app until we know who our audience is. So right here, it is assignment number 43, and it's activity 121D. So it gives you all of the instructions, but I'm also going to walk through every single step of it with you. Probably the most complex part is creating a custom header. And even that isn't really hard, because I have taught second graders how to create a Google form. So go ahead and click on it. And then we'll just be following along with these instructions, and I'll make one at the same time that you guys are making one. So it says open the Google Drive folder without a space for this activity. And then we are going to use our questionnaire questions that we had last week. So those 5 questions that you guys already created, you are going to be using those. All right, it says create a Google form that will be used to gather data from other people in the school or community. Make sure that you allow people that are not Dothan City schools to answer it, because I'm going to be sending it to people out in the community that have something to do with that topic. So, for example, mine that I'm coding is Arrive Alive about texting and driving. So I'm going to take and forward mine to somebody that I know is a police officer to get his information or his opinion. All right. So then right there, number 3, most complex part is us creating a custom header. And even that isn't hard. Make sure every piece of this is school appropriate. Duh. And then as soon as we start creating this, I need you guys to go ahead and add me as an editor so that I can do this with you. And then when you're done, you're actually going to send it to me so that I can fill it out, and then so I can push it forward and forward it to people. So when you click into this folder, you see all of this jazzola right here. First of which is going to be the custom header. And I've already customized mine. So you can open mine and you can strip it back off. Or I'm going to strip it back off right now to show you what I did. So I researched and I found out that the size, the pixel size for a custom header for Google Forms, it has to be, what was it? 1600 pixels by 400 pixels. Wait, 1600 by 400. And so when you go in and you change that, which you guys can just right now go and make a copy of what I've got right there before I start editing it. So go ahead and do that before I start throwing stuff back on here. We're not going to take an insanely large amount of time to go into customizing this just because it's not necessary. If we were doing this as a larger project that we were wanting to gather something a little bit more in depth than just these basic yes or no questions, then we would try to really make this look fancy schmancy, and we would add in animated things and backgrounds that shift. But that's just not where we need to live with this one, because we're just very quickly gathering data. Alrighty? So, where you could start with this is whatever your app is, you can find a background for it, or you can just leave it as a plain color. So, if you don't want to make this any sort of fancy, you want this to look like you got it in the Dollar General clearance section, then you could go here and add in a square that covers that whole area. Anything you don't cover is going to show up as white. All right, so if you wanted to just make it bow, then there we go. And then you could just add text over top of it. The two easiest ways to add text is either here with text or insert word art. All right, so let's go just a tiny bit fancy with this one. All right, so the name of mine is going to be Arrive Alive, that it is going to be addressing the problem of texting and driving. So I'm going to say Arrive Alive, and I see you guys starting to send stuff to me, so that's awesome. Thank you. Arrive Alive app. So as soon as I hit enter, it'll show up right there, and I can go right here and start changing what it looks like. I can go here and add in a different font. So if I wanted it to be that font, and then if I want it to be bigger, then I could make it bigger. If I want to make sure it's centered absolutely in the middle, I can right click it and go down right there where it says center of the page and make sure it is centered horizontally and vertically. All right. So if that's all you want to do with it, then fine. That's all you need to do with it. I just want your actual header to have the name of your app on it. So then if you wanted to level up and make this more fancy, then we could go into adding in a background. So that's where I hit the picture button and said search the web. And I could try to find, if I can spell right, and driving, see what kind of image I could get. All right, that one may work. So I double clicked that one so it would add a picture here. All right, well, I can very clearly see that that's not going to stretch over the entire area, but at least I could highlight it, couldn't I? Yeah. So I could put that puppy right there maybe. And that's not what I meant to do. All right, so I can move that guy over here now. And fix that now. All right, so that leveled it up just a teeny tiny bit. I mean, we're not looking at anything like crazy fancy right now. If you wanted to take and put a border around your little image right there, you go right here and you can change how thick the border is. If I wanted it, I don't even know what color I would put with that. I don't want it looking all Christmassy. All right, we'll do that. That looks kind of bobo, but it's okay. All right, so I could add in that. If I wanted to give some depth to my words right here, I could hit Control D, and that makes another version of it. And I could take and make that one white and kind of overlay them together like that. And then you can also, on your actual words, you can go in and add shadows by going to Format Options and adding in a drop shadow. So I can go and change what color I want my drop shadow. I don't want it to be very transparent at all. I can make it be a lot more prevalent by changing all the distance. All right, so before I download this and show you how to add it in, is there anybody that has a question about just making one of these? Let me make sure make sure I've got the chat turned on for you, because I trust you guys with the chat. All right, so the other thing that you can do that I did on this one, wrong one, that I did on this one, the one of mine that says copy, I just found a background that I knew would work, and then I opened up Cool Text. And I found text that I liked. So just to give you an example, if I liked this one, I would click on simple and I would make it say arrive alive app. I can change the size of it. When I go to logo, I can change the color of it. So if I wanted it to be red, there we go. And it shows me right there what it's going to look like. I can add in a shadow. And then when I'm ready, I'll hit create logo. Bada bing, right there. Then I'll hit download. And then I can insert it like that. So that gives you a little bit more fancy pants way of doing some things. However, know that I'm not telling you that you have to do it like that. As far as animated stuff, yes, absolutely. You can add animated things and you can create these into animated GIFs so that when your person opens up their Google form, that it is fancy and it has stuff dancing all over the screen. But I mean, for what we're trying to do with this, I wouldn't waste any kind of extra time, effort, or energy on it. I would just create it very, very basic like this. I would possibly come up here and add in my name, and then you're going to hit File, and you're going to download it. And I would say to download it as a PNG. Those usually play in the sandbox better than JPEGs. Why? I don't know. All right, so now we are ready to actually create our Google form. And I made a template for you guys. So if you want to steal like an artist and just use mine, you will just have to make a copy and then edit it to work for you. So right here, if you guys wanted to make a copy, you just click those little dots by your head over there and you tell it to make a copy. And then you can right here say, let's see, Mason questionnaire. So if Mason was using this, then it now is customized and it has his name on it. So right now at this very spot, I want you to go ahead and give me editing access. So follow me here down the rabbit hole that you are going to add a collaborator. So the three little dots right here by your head, go in and add a collaborator and type in CRN, and that will find me. And I'm the only me that exists. So make sure you give me editing access and then say send like that. Because then I can go in on my end and I can help you if you are not getting the understanding of this. And then also when you're starting to get your responses, I'll be able to help you put all of your data together. All right, so if you're using this one that I just gave you, you'll just have to take everything and make it fit for your app. So right here, if Mason was not doing the Arrive Alive app, then he would be able to go right here to this little color palette. I made my custom default to a bluish color, but if that doesn't fit your vibe of what you're wanting with your questionnaire, then you can go here and change it. And you can actually kind of make like a mishmash of colors as well if you wanted to. But like I said, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this at all. As far as the font style, I would say for you to either have basic or formal. The other two, that you can't read for Deadly Squat, and this one is just not very professional. So I would say either basic or formal, like that. All right. So now we are done with the theme options. If you want to view it and see what it looks like, then you will use that little eyeball. And then very, very important, if you guys are making this from scratch and you're not using my template, you'll need to go in here, and it defaults to say that it's restricting it down so only people with Dothan City schools can answer this. We want to be able to expand this and be able to have other people to answer these. So we need to unclick that. And I limited to one response, meaning that we wouldn't have somebody that goes in and answers the same questions 5 times, because that makes all of our data null and void. All right. If you want to allow them to edit it and go back and change some of their answers if they figure out they have an oopsie, then sure, why not? As far as presentation, I would not shuffle the question order because you're just asking them 5 questions and then information about them. So it's absolutely irrelevant for it to shuffle it. It actually would be kind of weird. And then the quiz, you're not going to be using, so don't worry about that. All right. So as far as what you guys see on this one that I have done, well, actually, let me go back here. If I wanted to change to that other image that I just made, I would go and upload right there. Ooh, magic. And then click done. Yeehaw. So now it changes my theme and it says, hey, you sure you don't want to default to this? And you absolutely can, even though that is a really awkward melon color. All right. So with these questions, you see here that I have the name of the app up here at the top. And then I created 2 different categories of your actual questions, and then the demographics, which is just the information that we need to get from the people. That is not at all what I was trying to click. Dadgummit. Oh well. All right, so demographics is the stuff that we're going to ask them. And every single one of these questions, we are going to make sure that we make it a required question, because I think it would be really boo and boring and lame if somebody goes in and answers their last name and then they answer 2 questions just because they feel like it. That is another situation that it would completely and totally make all of our data null and void. All right. So demographics, I just said that I think we should ask them their last name and first name, ask them their email address. And then for the age bracket, I mean, I just used something that was kind of general. So if it was my app with Arrive Alive, I'm probably going to receive different answers from people that are in your generation, kind of up to my generation. And then anybody above that is probably going to be a little bit less open and excited about the idea that somebody may be texting and driving. So it would, in that case, be relevant. All right, and then we get into the actual questionnaire. And as you see, I just typed in some random gobbledygook so that you would have 5 spots there. So when I want to go back and edit this question, I would actually type in a real question and say, do you believe that texting and driving is okay? All right, we want every one of these to be true, false, yes, no, A or B kind of answers. So I would add yes and no. I would not add maybe, because that's not a real answer at all. I would make sure that it is a required question, and then I would move down to the next one. If you guys wanted to add picture references for each one of these, you absolutely can. It does not matter. You can get insanely fancy as well of going to cool text. And I mean, this is like, some Publix level fancy that we're adding in right here. So we would go here and we could actually create this question, and we need to make it a lot smaller. All right. So then I would create the logo and I would download it. Like I said, I am going way above and beyond and extra with this right now that you don't have to do. All right. So right there, I would be able to add in my image of my question, and whoa, then it just looks a lot fancier. All right. So you would just right there name it Q1. I think that's a one. All right. So, anywho, you will continue working through that until you get all 5 of your questions ready and raring to go. And in order to send it to me so that I can forward it to other people, you will click this send button. And you can right here just type in CRN because I am a unique animal and I'm the only one of me. And click that thing that says include form in email. Right there. As soon as it allows me to click it. Okay, well, apparently it's not letting me do that. Why? I don't know. Looks to me like my stuff is about to lock up like it did earlier today. So, yippee. All right, so I'm looking at my phone buzzing over here beside me, and I see that a couple people have sent some stuff to me. So let's take a look. See, y'all see how messy my inbox gets when I don't answer it constantly. All right, so Kenny, awesome. I'm going to open yours right here. Maybe. There we go. All right. So 54:45. I'm assuming that means that you're just continuing to edit those. Yeah, that's what I figured. All right, so I'm actually going to take and start saving all of these in a folder. All right, Carter, I just saw my phone buzz with your name on it. All right, so this is all right, so 1, 2, 1. Questionnaires. That is the weirdest word, I swear. I have misspelled it every stinking time that I type it. It's really starting to give me a complex. All right, awesome. So, Kenny, now I've got yours there in that folder. All right, Tag, I just saw yours come through as well, or something come through. All right, so Carter, let's check it. Perfect. So I am going to take and save this. Come on. So essentially, that's all we are doing today. And tomorrow, when you guys come in here, we will start pushing this out. I'm going to push all of yours to my classes of the 7th and 8th graders. And then I'm also going to push it to anybody that is in that industry. So, for example, let me go and show you guys this one that 3 people from 6th period are working on. All right, so 3 people in 6th period are working on one that is based around emergency preparedness. So I'm going to take and share this one with the Coffee County Emergency Management Director named James Brown. I know him because we used to do theater stuff together. So I think he would be a really cool voice for us to hear from him and maybe take this a different, a different step or level of him saying, what could you add in for an emergency situation? What should you have at home in case of a tornado or a flood or COVID or whatever, other than toilet paper and bread and milk? So I need you guys to absolutely send it to me in this format, and then also give me editing access so that I can go in and save it to that little folder. All right. Rubik's Master. Let's see yours. All right, awesome. So I am. All right, so that's the one that I can actually fill out. Now I need you to give me editing access, which means you would go. All right, so you're on your little questionnaire and you go right here to the three little dots by your head. And then you can say add collaborators. And then you type in CRN and you'll see me. And you add that in and then click done. All right, Tag, it looks like you just did that. You were on the ball. And if for some wild reason you guys want to add more than 5 questions, that is also completely and totally fine. I just wouldn't add 37 questions because nobody's going to want to fill it out. That's kind of why I decided for it to kind of live at 5. But as far as the rest of the week and what the rest of the week is going to look like, we're going to be getting all of this data, and we're going to be aggregating the data, which means we just turn it into charts and graphs and we get a general idea of what people have responded with. And then from there, we will be able to build our app. So the rest of this week, today's Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we should absolutely be able to get this much of it done. And then also move forward and start thinking about what our app needs to look like. All right, so as soon as you guys get those started, go ahead and send them to me.